all of us, isn't it? Now let's play, though, Amoebas to Zebras.
Welcome to Amoebas to Zebras, which is a natural history quiz all about survival, the survival of the fittest. It's played by three fit naturalists, professional and amateur, and this week they are Mike Linley, who is one of the producers of Anglia Television's long-running survival series. His speciality is herpetology, the study of reptiles and amphibians, which is also the speciality of Ralph Hopper, former policeman, now a trading standards officer and chairman of the Southwest Herpetological Society. And thirdly, we have a man who is famous for two things: his love of newts and salamanders and his devotion to that now extinct species, the Greater London Council, of which he was leader, Ken Livingstone. Scoring is done on the tree of evolution. Everybody starts out down at the bottom in the primeval ooze. Correct answers send them up the main trunk. Wrong or no answers send them sideways. Another correct answer gets them back on the main trunk and possibly ending up at the top of the tree as a man. Overseeing who survives as they ascend the tree of evolution is our scorekeeper, tree keeper, Nicky EZER. Right, and away we go. Round one, questions and supplementary questions about wildlife from anywhere in the world. And the first one is aimed at you, Mike Linley. Look at this piece of film and tell me what is happening here.
Yes, these are turtles hatching on a beach somewhere nice and hot.
Somewhere nice and hot, probably the Seychelles, I'm not sure. Could you be more precise about what sort of turtles?
They could have been green turtles or loggerheads.
Yes, they're baby loggerhead turtles emerging from the nest on the beach. So you get the supplementary, Mike. How do they know which way to the sea?
Well, some people say it's for the stars. Other people say it's a sort of reflection of the stars on the surf. And that's what they head for and go straight down. Right.
Another way of putting it is that they head towards the broadest horizon, which is usually the sea. Also, they head for the brightest light, usually over the sea. But I'm told that sometimes if there's a neon light or something on the land, they have been known to go in completely the wrong direction.
Or a barbecue or something. Yeah, they got the wrong way.
That's right. So there we are. They were the loggerhead turtles. Well done, Mike. You get both your points there. Ralph Hopper. Look at this piece of film, Ralph, and tell me, what are these animals? Lots of them, but all the same type. Do you know what they are?
Oh, they're on the fiddle.
Yes?
Fiddle crabs. Fiddler crabs.
Yes, fiddler crabs from tropical mangrove swamps. And so you get the supplementary question, Ralph. What is that enormous single claw that they have? What is it used for?
Well, they use it for signaling to one another and possibly for seizing food as well. But they're sitting in their holes, they're sort of sending out signals.
For a particular reason?
To attract a mate.
Yes, that's right. Only males have these really big claws, and they use them for courtship and signaling their territory, not really for feeding. And I gather they can do 50 different types of signals with that extraordinary
A bit like a tic-tac man.
Very like a tic-tac man indeed, or somebody doing semaphore, something like that. The females just have claws for feeding. The fiddler crabs. Ken, now then, would these animals that you see on your screens now, would these animals make good pets?
They make excellent pets. They're the smooth newt, which is the commonest British newt. No, I didn't see the head of it.
I'm not so sure that they are. I'm not so sure that they are. I'm going to offer it to the others. Ralph, with great vigour, hits his buzzer. What do you think they are, Ralph?
Must get in early. Sorry about this. Crested newt?
Yes, it's the great crested or warty
Protected,
newt.
Yes.
So therefore, can you answer the question, which is, would they make good pets, Ralph?
Well, they would, but you're not allowed to keep them. It's against the law.
That's right.
Quite a serious offence, something like £1,000 fine if you're caught in possession of one.
As an ex-policeman, I'm sure you'd know that.
I've arrested many newts on a Saturday night.
So you get the supplementary, Ralph. What is their breeding behaviour?
The male, of course, develops rather nice colours, and he has a crest on its back.
Mm-hmm.
female is not so attractive.
The males
And-
do something. They parade
Yes,
around.
they circulate around one another, fan the water.
That's right.
They come up to one another and they use their tails to attract and sort of stir the water up.
Right. It's very elaborate business, done in the water, as you say.
Yes.
The male's parade in front of the female with the tail bent round, releasing scent, which makes the female interested. He then deposits a packet of sperm on the pond floor. She picks it up with her vent and fertilizes her eggs. Have I said what you were going to say?
Yes,
Good,
absolutely.
right. And at the end of that first round, we have some score. Ken doesn't have any marks at the moment, but I'm sure he soon will. Mike has 2 and Ralph has 4. But what does that mean on the tree, Nicky?
Well, what it means on the tree is that I'm afraid, Ken, you're still down there in the primeval ooze. Mike has climbed the tree with his 2 points. He's now amongst the molluscs on the main trunk, but Ralph, by answering Ken's questions, is 2 ahead and he's on the main trunk as a crustacean.
Well, we are round 2 now. We're going to identify some sounds made by animals, and all of them come, this is the clue, from down South America way. Mike Linley, first of all, what is making this sound and why?
Well, it's a frog,
Yes?
and it's a type of frog known locally as a pung lala, because of the noise that it makes, a pung la la, just like that.
It's also known as a mud puddle
Mud
frog.
puddle
There it is on your screen now. You said it's known locally. Where would locally be?
Trinidad is a good place to find them, or anywhere in the sort of northern half of South America.
That's right. You find them particularly in the Panamanian rainforests, and they make that sound at night to attract their mates. So you get the supplementary, Mike. This courtship call gets them into trouble. How is that?
There's a type of bat called a frog-eating bat for a good reason, because it eats frogs, and it homes in on this particular call and snatches the males out of the water and eats them.
You call it a frog-eating bat. I would call it a fringed-lipped bat. It likes to eat them, and we've got a sequence of pictures which illustrates this. They like to eat them, and the fringed-lipped bat has learnt to follow the sounds, and the frogs have a dilemma. If they don't sing, they don't met, and if they do, they get eaten. It's sort of catch-22 in the frog world. On we go to Ralph Hopper. The next one for you. What is making this noise and why? Right, what do you think? It sounds like a swimming bath to me, but what's going on there?
Well, when I actually have heard this noise, and I think it's an absolutely horrific noise to hear in the wild. It's the oil bird.
Mm-hmm.
And
Where
they
did you
found
hear it?
It's a largish bird, rather like probably a crow in size.
Rather like the nightjar. There's a picture one on
Yes.
your screen now. Where did you hear them, Ralph?
In Trinidad.
In Trinidad,
It's a popular place, isn't it?
Right.
Marvellous place to go.
Yeah.
And it really is quite frightening to hear
Well,
them.
why are they doing it? What are the clicks for?
Well, why do birds make any sort of noise?
But there's a specific reason for this. It's echolocation or direction finding. Yes? Now,
Yes,
that all
yes.
adds up to 1 point for you, Ralph. You get the supplementary, which is why are they called oil birds?
The young birds in particular have a tremendous amount of oil in their bodies, and years ago the natives in fact used to catch the birds before they were protected. They are now specially protected, and the natives used to boil the birds down and use the oil for cooking and making candles.
That's right. They say if you stick a wick in one, you've got a candle. But how did the oil get into the bird?
I presume it's from the food that it would eat. This is fish.
Well, also
very
they
oily.
eat oily nuts, so that's, I think, really where it comes from. So you get both your points there, Ralph. Ken, now then, have a listen to this. This may not be to do with salamanders, but you might be able to get it. What animal makes this sound? It sounds like a groan, but perhaps howl would help you towards the name.
It's howler monkey.
That's
from South
right,
America.
yes. It's the male mental howler monkey, probably the loudest noise made by any monkey. And there is a howler monkey, obviously making a howl at that very moment. The supplementary, Ken, why do they call like that? What's the purpose of the call?
I would assume it is basically to attract a mate.
Not in this case, actually. Offer it to the others. Mike?
They do it to mark up their territories, and the male's sort of saying, keep away.
Yes, it's to do with space between groups during the night in particular, keeping them apart. And at the end of that round score, Ken now has 1, Mike has 5, and Ralph has 6, which means...
Which means that Ken is out the primeval ooze
Good.
and is along the protozoa branch and rests as an amoeba. And as we move up the trunk, Mike is an insect and Ralph in the lead as an echinoderm on the main trunk.
Right, round 3 is devoted to misnomers, animals that are called by a misleading name. For example, a cream spot tiger is not a tiger, it's a moth. So we want you to disentangle these misnomers. Mike Linley, first of all, what is this that you see on your screen and what is it not?
It's a horseshoe crab.
It is. Tell me more.
It's neither a horseshoe nor a crab.
What is it?
It's a crustacean. It's close related to the crab, but it's not a proper crab.
Well, it's not even a crustacean, according to my information here, but it's from an ancient group distantly related to spiders and scorpions. But you got your point there. The horseshoe crab or the king crab, and I'm told they haven't changed much in 300 million years.
Trilobites.
Trilobites. That's the word, trilobites. Ralph Hopper, what is this and what is it not?
A water scorpion.
Yes, which you'd find in British ponds.
In water. It's not a scorpion.
Right, what is it?
Well, it's a water insect.
Yes, an aquatic insect. That's precisely the water scorpion. It just looks like a scorpion, but it is not one. Ken Livingstone, have a look at this and tell me, what are these and what are they not?
Well, they're called silkworms,
Yes.
but they're not worms. They're basically a caterpillar.
That's right, the larvae of the silk moth, and they grow up and they look like this. There we are, those are the grown-up ones, the adult silkworms. Not worms, but caterpillars. Now we go open, which means that you press your buzzer to jump in, but it's the same type of question coming your way. Look at the picture, tell me what is this, and explain what is it not, and first to buzz is Mike.
It's a polecat.
Which is...
Not a cat.
Not a cat, but...
A ferret.
It's a bit like a wild ferret, but a larger version of the Stoughton weasel. It's one of the mustelids, the polecat. You got that one. Well done. Anybody can go at the next one. What are these and what are they not? Or what is that and what is it not? That is Mike again.
It's a Barbary ape.
Yes?
But it's not an ape.
Right. What is it?
It's a monkey. It's a type of monkey.
Yes, it's a macaque, a kind of monkey, and you would find it most notably
Gibraltar.
on the Rock of Gibraltar. Barbary apes, and at the end of that round the score, Ken has 2, Ralph has 7, Mike has 8, and...
And because of Ken's incorrect question before, he is now back along the protozoa branch as an amoeba. Then we climb up the tree. Ralph rests as a fish, but Mike is a newt.
This has never been said before. In a couple of minutes, we'll be joined by 3 guest animals. They are amphibians. They are said to go a-wooing, but these can also give you a very nasty bite. So see what they are, and join us, please, in part 2 of Amoebas to Zebras.
Excuse me. Yes.
Always offering me advice.
Hello, welcome back, and welcome to our guest animals. Come down and take a closer look at these fine, stout specimens that we have to look at. They're all male. And Mike Linley, what are they, please?
These are African bullfrogs.
Yes, from southern and eastern Africa, the 2nd largest frog in the world, and there we have one. And Ralph, they eat practically anything from poisonous insects to ducklings, rats and mice, even other frogs, even each other, which is why we've got them in separate compartments here. How do they catch and swallow their prey?
Well, they have teeth or a bony projection on the lower jaw with which they can hold the prey, and in fact they swallow it in one piece. Usually take the head first, because it's much easier to swallow somebody head first than it is by the feet. It's rather a funny shape.
That's right.
The elbows get in the way. And they just swallow it in one piece. They'll usually take 2 at a time, one this side and then tuck one round the other side.
Unlike other frogs, they have rudimentary teeth to bite with, right? Ken, these frogs live mostly in very dry areas. How do they keep their skins necessarily moist?
Well, they would tend to burrow down, and particularly during the height of the summer, they would perhaps go down several feet, virtually a reverse of hibernation.
Yes,
I mean,
estivation is the word, yes. They spend all the hot, dry months underground, not feeding or moving, hardly breathing. And as the mud dries, the frog secretes a mucus coat over its body, which keeps it in moisture. Goodness me. Are they good parents?
They're cannibals, basically.
They're cannibals.
You can actually, I mean, very often the very first one to turn from a tadpole to a frog eats the insects round, gets that extra little bit of growth, then as all of its brothers and sisters start to come through, it consumes them.
That's it.
And the parents will snap up anything going. They're not really what you call a social animal.
Although I gather the male stays close to the developing eggs and tadpoles. Ken, are they harmful to humans?
Well, if you were actually stupid enough to stick your fingers in its mouth and the bone teeth were to bite, it would be a painful nip. If you were to eat the skin, you'd be rather sick, because you can see there's poison glands in it.
Yeah.
But
I'm told that people do eat them.
Yeah, you'd have to remove the skin and just eat the flesh.
They look quite plump animals, don't they? Could we actually see the teeth? Is it possible to play?
We can try. Open wide.
They've got two very large ones in the lower jaw that fit into sockets in the upper jaw.
I've actually seen these lunge at lions to frighten them off.
Really?
They're quite aggressive. And I just don't think we're frightening them. I mean, they're not going to show their fangs. They must think we're a load of softies.
Yes. But I think they are magnificent.
They are
magnificent animals. And our thanks go to Paul Sullivan for letting us see these African bullfrogs from his collection. Well, those were the African bullfrogs. And what was the score?
Well, Ken was an amoeba along the protozoa branch. Further up the main trunk, Ralph was a fish, but Mike in the lead is a newt.
Right, now then, round 5 is to do with communication, how and why animals communicate with each other, often without making a sound. So this is a sort of two-part question, but you'll only get 1 point, I'm afraid. First one is aimed at Mike. What is the communication these black cock are sending, and to whom? There they are.
These are two rival males.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying, hey, this is my territory, keep away. I own all the females around here, mate.
That's right. It's a dominance display directed at other males and females to establish the pecking order. And what's the name of the whole thing?
Oh, is it a lek?
Yes, it's a lek, where the males all get together and the women come along. And, well, anyway, the blackcock is a large British grouse. Ralph Hopper. Now then, more communication for you. What message is being broadcast by this spider, and to whom? There it is. Very obviously doing something there, trying to tell somebody something. So what is it and what's the message?
It looks like a wolf spider.
It is indeed.
And he could be approaching his mate, the female. He has to do this very cautiously because she is likely to eat him.
That's right. It is a male wolf spider semaphoring a desire to mate and identifying its species. That it is saying, don't eat me, I'm one of yours, let's mate. And one of the problems they have is that their eyesight is not very good. Which is quite a problem. There we are, the wolf spider semaphoring. Right, now then, Ken Livingstone, more communication for you. There is a message being sent here, although it's not obvious. What is it and who is it meant for?
Well, I can't see the message. They're two European salamanders. And they aren't gregarious. They don't meet together at any time except to mate. So either they have just mated or are just starting to mate.
You
or
say
lost interest.
They're European, but how about the look of them? What is their...
They're fire salamanders.
That's right. And so what is the skin telling everybody?
Ah, I see what you mean. It's a warning colour. Anything coming along and seeing those is going to know they're poisonous to eat. It's the same sort of coloration as you get with, say, a wasp. That black and yellow is always a warning
That's
that
spot
something's
on.
poisonous.
Yeah. Right, and at the end of that round, scores are Ken has 3, Ralph has 8, and Mike has 10, which means, Nicky?
Well, with that last correct answer from Ken, it means he's back on the main branch as a protozoa. And then as we go further up the main trunk, Mike and Ralph are sitting together as amphibians.
And very pretty they look too. Right, the last round now, round 6. Unusual names. I'm going to flash up some odd names of animals. See if you can tell me what they are. You'll need to buzz to get in with these. What is a tuatara? Mike thinks he knows.
It looks like a lizard, but it's not. It's a very primitive reptile that lives on a few islands around New Zealand.
Yes.
It's the nearest thing we have to a dinosaur these days.
In fact, I think it predates dinosaurs. The tuatara. Its name has a sort of New Zealand ring to it,
Maori,
doesn't
that's
it?
right.
Another open one, anybody can buzz. What is an olm? O-L-M. Ken?
It's a sort of very primitive salamander. It lives underwater, very rudimentary little limbs.
Yes, it's a rare, large amphibian, and it lives in caves in Yugoslavia, Sancho. There it is, not a very nice-looking animal at all, but an olm, that is what, and the other name that it has is the man-fish. Well, now, what is a mugger? That's Mike. Tell us what a mugger is, Mike.
Person who stands on the street. No, it's a type of large Indian crocodile.
Yes, from India or Sri Lanka. It's quite rare, and there it is, particularly in the river Ganges. It comes from the Hindi word magar, which means water monster. The mugger. You thought you knew what a mugger was, but there's another meaning of the word. What is a moloch? A moloch. That is Ken.
It's a very spiky lizard from Australia. Brilliant yellow and red, quite primitive.
That's right, from the central Australian desert. There it is on your screens now, also known as the horny devil or the thorny devil, and its Latin name, because I'm sure you'd like to know this, is Moloch horridus. Rather a good name, but Moloch will do. It's named after the ancient god who sacrificed children by fire. What is a hellbender? Mike knows.
It's a giant salamander from North America that's about this big.
It is indeed. It sounds to me like the title of a thriller, but a hellbender is the largest of the North American salamanders, and there it is, looking absolutely enormous. Now, here's another interesting one. What is a wart biter? A wart biter, Mike?
It's a cricket, and it's quite rare in the UK. You find it around Dorset. It's called a wart biter because they said if you put it on your hand with a wart and it bites the wart will disappear. And that's why it's quite rare, because people went around catching them to bite the warts off, and there was only a few left down in Dorset.
That's right. Also, I'm told that Swedish peasants used it to bite off their warts. There it is. Very interesting. I wouldn't like to have one of those on my warts. It's a large bush cricket, very rare, and it is a protected species in this country. Now, here's one. I don't know whether I can pronounce this. What is a shelterpuzik? A shelterpuzik, Ken?
It's the Yugoslavian name for the glass snake, which is a very large lizard which doesn't have any legs.
Yes, it's a large legless lizard from Central and Southern Europe. I'm not quite sure whether it's actually Yugoslavian, but there it is on the screen, also known as Pallas's glass lizard, because what happens to its tail? Do you know what happens to its tail?
Well, if you actually grab hold of it, it will come off.
Yes, and the tail doesn't just come off, it might...
Into several pieces, and it looks like
shatters, rather like glass.
Right.
So hence Pallas's glass lizard or
Like
the shelterpuzik.
snails as well. Likes eating snails.
Does it?
Yeah.
Charming. The shelterpuzik. Every home should have one. What is a mata-mata? Ken?
It's a South American terrapin, very flat, and it looks like dead leaves.
It's a turtle from the rivers of the Amazon basin. Do we have a picture of it? There it is, yes, a mata-mata. If you had two of them, they'd be going natta-natta. What is a boom slang? A boom slang, Ken?
That's a snake, poisonous. I think it's green, am I right?
greenish. Yeah.
Yeah, deadly to man. Where would you find it, you know?
Asia.
Southern Africa, I think, yes. A forest-dwelling snake from Southern Africa with fangs at the back of its mouth, deadly to man, and it is called a boom slang, and that is the end of that round and also the end of the quiz. The scores are as follows. Ralph and Ken both have 8. Mike has 14, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Mike is at the top of the tree, but, Nicky?
Well, it doesn't necessarily mean that, Nigel, but he is. He's in fact become a man, as you will see, when we climb to the top, a true man. Ken did very well in that last round, however, he's now a kind of derm on the main trunk, and Ralph remains an amphibian.
Well, there we are, Mike Linley. How does it feel to be a man? Are you... Super. I think it's the beard that does it. Anyway. And Ralph Hopper, Ken Livingstone, thank you both very much. You're both men in your different ways. I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Amoebas to Zebras, and you'll join us for another edition again soon. Until then, bye-bye.